How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Draft to the Future. I'm one half of the team, Matt, and I'm going through my player updates. So, full disclosure, I had all my data up and I closed it out as I went through and recorded it, and then for some reason the video just crashed and burned. Like, I have no way of retrieving it. So we're gonna give these updates, but hopefully that means you guys will get a more concise summary. So let's get to it. Duke had a bye, so nothing from them. Indiana, I am super proud of their performance. I want to acknowledge Fernando Mendoza had an ugly pick six, and he has two interceptions in he has an interception in two consecutive games. That has my attention, but he's still officially the number one ranked player on the consensus board, and he is still my number one quarterback. I still think he's an Aaron Rodgers guy. I that's my comp for him. Um, I think that he forces you, like, if you're playing Fernando Mendoza, you better bring a plan, you better execute. He has shown me everything that he needs to show me. And hopefully Mateer gets, a little more strength, a little more grip. I think that's what was affecting him, but Mateer is my QB2. And I'm looking at Beck, but I need to see Beck. I need to see Beck play some elite teams and see how he plays there, because it's hard for me to let go of how bad last season was. So I'm at least monitoring that, and more. He had a rough game, but it wasn't the end of the universe. I just the guys with only one season of starts, I can't do it. Not me personally. If you're okay, if you're comfortable taking a player, but I need you to understand that guys with 20 or fewer, or certainly fewer than 20 starts, they have never worked, like, historically in the NFL. So if you get a guy with fewer than 20 starts, you are asking him to do something that's literally never happened before, and that's not a fair expectation. So for the USC guy and Dante Moore and even Ty Simpson, who has a lot going on, I just that's a tough ask. So my top three is my top three for that reason, and we'll kind of see where that goes. Um, Mikal Kamara has proven he had a good game here. He doesn't have a lot of sacks, but he's definitely an edge setting, reliable defender. I don't know if he's in my top 50, but he'd definitely be in my top 100. And he's just kind of proven to be a solid, reliable defensive end. Maybe he doesn't have the pass rushing upside that you want, but he's doing what he's supposed to do. So you go to the other side of the field. Mekhi Hughes is redshirted. Alex Harkey did not rise to his moment. So I want to do a comparison. I've been tracking Alex Harkey, and I've been tracking Caden Green. Caden Green did what he needed to do against Alabama. It wasn't amazing or awesome. It wasn't the greatest dominant performance ever, but he faced an SEC great defense and at least held his own. And he only allowed one pressure, where Harkey, I think, had 5 in that 1 week alone. So he will have other opportunities to shine, but this was a big miss for him, and I'd be lying if I said it wasn't. So he's fallen behind on what he needs to do to kind of take the next step, and he needs to gain ground on that. So Jake Slaughter, on that same vein, he didn't have like an elite day, and neither he nor Green had amazing run block data. But pass block wise, they did their job, and there's room to improve. And both of those teams will have multiple opportunities to kind of continue to establish and grow. And that's kind of the distinction where Green and Slaughter held their own against league competition. Harkey kind of faltered, and that's unfortunate. Levitt was out with an injury. Tyson, he had like 16 targets, 8 receptions, but he only averaged like 6 yards a reception. So it looks like the game plan for Utah was like, oh, let them throw the bubble screen to Tyson. Let's just do our job and tackle. And they were able to execute that. Like, honestly, if I'm ASU, I'm like, well, giving the ball to Tyson and giving him a shot is going to work more than it doesn't. Utah kind of stepped up doing what they needed to do. Um, and this might be evidence of kind of what I was talking about in that breakaway method. In that breakaway area where I'm like, yeah, but there's another gear that I personally am not seeing, which is why he's lower on my board than almost anyone else's. And again, that's not to say that I hate Tyson. I absolutely love Tyson. Um, it's just that first round, second round conversation for me. Like Elijah Surratt, who I also love. I kind of see a little more comparability between Surratt and Tyson than I do in Tate, Mackay, and Tyson. Not Mackay. Well, he is Mackay and Lemon. Those, that area, because and I don't even know that Mackay Lemon is gonna time fast, but when there's someone chasing him, he runs away from that guy. Interested to see how the data comes up, but it was harder for Tyson. And what do you expect, really, when he's the only guy to be afraid of on that team? So we went through the ASU kids. I didn't even really look that closely at my guy Perkins. So, bring his data up. Bear with me. Uh, I think he's starting to develop a trend and kind of show that he's not where he needs to be coverage wise. Look, in every other area, he's showing me things that I want to see. But he had 3 missed tackles against South Carolina. That is unfortunate. Um, he's playing well, and maybe he needs to think about playing another year to get where he needs to go. Now there's still time for him, and his potential is unquestionable. But he's really struggling in coverage, and the missed tackles are starting to pile up as he's facing more occasional uh, top pressures, and those are areas of concern that I have to ethically acknowledge that I'm seeing. He's still a great run defender, but this is a class where there are a lot of great run defenders. So we'll have to kind of keep watching and see if things start turning a corner. Um, I will say, in terms of his coverage, he kind of fell off, and he's starting to stabilize. Now he's not stabilizing where he needs to be, but you got to stop the skid before you can climb out of the hole, and at least he started to do that. Um, but I got to cool off on the first round conversation. I still think very, very highly of him. But right now, I think that the potential and the production aren't quite aligned. And that might be reason for him to consider staying another year and trying to maximize that. So Eric O'Neill had a pretty decent game. It wasn't anything special, but he played well against an underrated Washington line. Tanner Gazoil still averaging like 13 yards a catch in his previous game. He's not getting the usage in the red zone that I would want to see, but those are just targets that aren't going his way. But he's still above 70 in contested catches. He's still doing well there. Um, who else do I got? Because I'm kind of, again, I'm working off memory. Um, so Zane Durant. So for as rough as Zane Durant's play, as rough as things are going for Penn State, Zane Durant had a solid game, maybe even a good game against Northwestern. That's probably not going to do a lot to make him feel great. But in a game where everything fell out from under them, he at least was competing. And that honestly is a credit. There's a lot going on, a lot that wasn't going well around him. And for him to step up and say, I'm still here, I'm still playing, I think deserves more credit than he might get when the team as a whole has just really fallen flat of expectations. And now they got a new coach, and so, well, they fired their coach, they got an interim coach. There's a lot to work through in a season where Zane Durant didn't really kind of meet the expectations I'm sure he had for himself and other evaluators thought that he might have. So those are some more difficult things that he's going to have to work through. But I have to at least acknowledge when everything else was going wrong, he kind of stepped up. And I'm interested to see if that kind of, lights a fire in him and he really starts excelling. Because it was good to see that on a horrible day, he stepped up rather than kind of fell off with the rest of the team. So that is a summary of my previous summary that you'll never see because the file never downloaded. So that's kind of where the updates are at. Do you have prospects that you want us to look at? Is anyone really impressing you? Honestly, out of all the guys I've looked at, Fernando Mendoza is far and away the guy who's really kind of impressed. I like Kamara for what Kamara's skill sets are. So I'm pleased with what's going on there. And we'll kind of see how the rest of it comes together. But that's kind of where our update is. And we hope you keep tuning in. We got some exciting stuff coming up. And, stay tuned. So we love you all. God bless. Like, subscribe, all the things. See you around.